Hey DKI, Ken Copeland here, Director of Business Development with DKI Pro Supply, and it's time to take 5. Today we're talking hydroxyls, and today we're talking with Tom McCarter from ODOROX Hydroxyl. He is the Executive Vice President of the Hydroxyl Group, so we should know hydroxyls pretty well. How are you doing today, Tom?
I'm good, Ken. How are you?
Doing very well, very well. So for those of our members who are kind of unfamiliar with the technology, can you give us a little bit of background on how hydroxyls work?
Sure. So it's a pretty simple process. You've got the machine I'm sure you're all familiar with. We've got the UV light that's inside. It is using a UVC. I'm sure everyone's heard with the COVID going on, the power of the UVC lights and what that does. And so basically the air comes in through our machine, and inside that machine, we're able to produce the hydroxyl radicals. These machines are able to treat the air going through it, but more importantly, especially in this industry, it's producing these hydroxyl radicals, oxy and peroxy radicals, that are exiting the machine. And the reason why that's important is it's going to get into all of the areas where the odor has been absorbed. So all the soft contents, the couches, the drapes, the carpets, hard to reach areas, behind lockers, up in the attic, it's going to fill all those areas and eliminate the odors wherever they may be. So real simply, it's a machine, you plug it in, turn it on, let it do its work. It's going to eliminate the odors kind of throughout that environment, wherever it may be.
And the cool thing about hydroxyls, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can actually be in the area when the hydroxyl generator is working, correct?
Correct. That's a big deal. So as soon as you get onto a project, you can plug it in, turn it on. You don't have to worry about doing it when nobody's there or when in between business hours. It can be while a business is up and running, while homeowners stay there. You can avoid additional living expenses or shutting down a business for this part of it. So it saves time by doing it that way. It's good for the customer. But also it's not added on to the end of a project. So the odor is being eliminated while the work's being completed. So everything kind of gets wrapped up at the same time, which, a lot of people seem to like.
Yeah. And I know you guys do a lot of work the past few years with the fires in California. You guys have just been going crazy. What other types of products or what other types of projects, do you guys actually do well on?
Yeah, fires are definitely, a big deal. The California ones are always the biggest ones. They're going on right now, and they have been. It's kind of crazy. But it's interesting is that pretty much any odor that a contractor or somebody comes across, this machine will work on it to eliminate that odor. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It could be really good smelling cologne, or it could be something like from a skunk or a fuel oil or, curry, smoke. And it's used a lot in the water jobs, water and mold. It's being put on as the facility is being dried down and as the work's being done. It's in there to eliminate the odor. It works on pathogens. What's interesting is it works really well with an air scrubber. So they're like perfect teammates to be used on these types of water and mold jobs and fire jobs, things like that. And it kind of helps people understand the way the technology works. And just to kind of touch on that real quick, the scrubbers essentially capture all of the particulates. They capture the solids, which our technology doesn't do. But our technology will eliminate all of the gases and break everything down, all the VOCs and gases that are out there. So that's why together they're a perfect team. So fire and smoke is always the no-brainer for people. But pretty much if a contractor just keeps in mind, hey, if they walk into a project, whether it's Cat 2, Cat 3, mold project, curry, all those things, skunk, fuel oil, these types of odors. Some guys even use it for new paint. When they're painting something, they want to get rid of those VOCs. Yeah. If there's an odor in the air or in that material, that's a perfect application for it.
So you mentioned mold, and it gets rid of the mold smell, but does it actually kill the mold too?
Well, it does. So pathogens have not been something that we have really brought into the disaster restoration industry for over 10 years now, just because there's so much protocol, so many things that are around mold and bacteria and viruses. We really didn't want to mess with it and just kind of let things just go as they have been for years. But we did back in 2009, 2010 is when ODOROX started doing tests on different pathogens, different types of bacteria, virus, mold. It was required to get FDA approval. So in 2012, I believe, or 2013, it was approved as, or maybe it was 14, but ODOROX machine was approved as a Class 2 medical device for use in medical facilities, occupied areas. And all of that was done on specifically tested bacteria, virus, and mold. So it's been successful in all that, but again, going back to the mold, all these guys know, alive or dead, doesn't matter. You got to capture it, vacuum it, you somehow get rid of it. So we're in those areas, we're really just one tool to kind of go with the standard practices that these guys are doing. It's just kind of an added benefit to have it running at the same time.
So what about in COVID-19? What's and I'm assuming it's probably the same type of protocols. You've got to go through and make sure you wash the surface and get everything cleaned up. But does ODOROX work on? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what kickstarted us into saying, okay, well, let's bring what we're doing in other industries with the pathogens, bring it into disaster restoration, because obviously COVID was just a massive issue that everyone's dealing with. And so we did not test on the specific coronavirus, the COVID-19. It just, you couldn't get your hands on it and do the testing. But what was done back in when the FDA was doing the testing, it was a virus called MS2, which is basically just like the coronavirus. It's the same strains, it's exactly like the same structure and built the same way as that. And it had a 4-log reduction on it. It was phenomenal results. So what we have instructed people to do in this industry, a lot of guys outside are buying the machines. We've been sold out for a while now, trying to keep up with demand. But what they've been doing is some guys just buy it and put it in permanently into a home or business. But on the restoration side, we recommend very similar to how they would handle a mold or a water loss, which is wipe everything down, spray and wipe, especially the key touch points, get all those key areas, do your normal, practices on that. What's nice is with the ODOROX machine running at the same time, and it's kind of catching on that it's spread through the air. It's that it's taking care of those airborne pathogens. Right. So it's killing the pathogens that are in the air, the air that's going through the machine. It's releasing the radicals out into the environment to get those. So it'll touch on eliminating the viruses and bacteria on the surfaces and structure, but we still strongly say, hey, spray and wipe everything down, have our machine as a tool to go with it, and it's a great kind of all-around package. You handle the air, you handle the touch points, and then if it stays there and continues running, that's giving you a constant 24/7 treatment to make it a better environment for the air that's being breathed in.
Right, and if you really think about it, I mean, it is, like you say, it's a tool to use, an additional tool, and it gives the customer, the end user, or the customer, a better feeling because all the odors are gone. The fact that it's been cleaned and disinfected, they don't have any of those smells that might be associated with any of the disinfectants, and it's also got a fresh, clean smell because the hydroxyl generator has been running for the full time as well. So, question on when you're doing a fire job or when you have a large loss, how do you know how many hydroxyl generators to use?
So there's quite a few variables that play into where to put the machines and how many machines. But general rule of thumb is one machine is going to cover 1,000 to 1,500 square feet, with ceiling height up to 20 or 30 feet. If you get into a big warehouse, a big box retail like a Costco or something, 40, 50-foot ceilings, err more on the 1,000 square foot coverage area. You got to look at layout, how bad's the odor, are there contents there? There's how fast you want to get the job done. There's other factors, but generally 1,000 to 1,500 square feet is pretty standard for one machine to get a job done, and most jobs 3-4 days, something like that.
Very cool, very cool. So is there anything else you want our members to know about the ODOROX machines?
Well, I know everyone likes hearing about Xactimate. That's how money's made. So just a reminder that it is an Xactimate, CLN, DOD, greater than sign. So it's $200 for the machine plus the air mover that's required. So it comes out to about $226 a day. An interesting little fact is even though the ODOROX machine is expensive up front, when you look at how long it's being used and the 24 hours a day runtime, and there's no additional cost other than replacing the optics, the cost per day is less than $20 to run the machine. And then as you're replacing optics, which are less, it drops down to like $10. So it's pretty cool that there's something you just plug it in, turn it on. There's no additional real cost going into it. Run it for $10-20 a day, and you can bill it out at 200 and change. It's always nice. And then, really just the last thing would obviously be, and I think part of why we're always here and always, wanting to help out you guys is any questions. I mean, we just touched on a few things here. Any questions ever, we're always around 24/7, emails, calls, large losses or random questions, safety questions, how to set it up, anything that we touched on today. That's the biggest thing we want people to know. We've got a lot of material, a lot of training stuff. We're here to help out you guys. So we want to make sure people free to reach out.
Fantastic. And we'll put your contact info at the end of this video. And for DKI
Perfect.
members, I mean, Tom is an expert in this. I mean, you can hear just the confidence in his voice and just his knowledge. He knows how these machines work and he knows the benefits that they bring. So if you're not a project manager, please, or one of your superintendents, please share this video with them so they can, kind of learn more about ODOROX and reach out to Tom for maybe more information or help on a job. Tom, thank you so much for being here today. We look forward to seeing you in
Thank you,
person
Ken.
soon. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, you too. Thanks.